Have you ever heard of a country's leader who is younger than most world-famous soccer players? Today, we're talking about a man who, in his early 30s, became the head of state, not through decades of political maneuvering, but through a dramatic turn of events. This is the story of Ibrahim Traore, the interim leader of Burkina Faso, a nation at the heart of West Africa's fight for its future. So, who is Ibrahim Traore? Born in 1988, he grew up in a rural part of Burkina Faso. He was known as a quiet and intelligent student. Instead of pursuing a typical career, he chose the path of a soldier. Joining the army in 2009, he quickly distinguished himself, rising through the ranks and becoming part of an elite anti-terrorist unit. This wasn't just a job for him, it was a calling. He served on the front lines, seeing firsthand the struggles his country faced. To understand Traore's rise, you have to understand the situation in Burkina Faso. For years, the country has been battling extremist groups, a conflict that has displaced millions and created a severe humanitarian crisis. The public grew increasingly frustrated with the government's inability to secure the nation. In January 2022, a group of military officers led by Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba took power, promising to restore security. Traore was part of this movement, hoping for a real change. However, 8 months later, the situation hadn't improved. In fact, many felt it had worsened. The army was still under-equipped and morale was low. This is where Traore, now a captain, stepped onto the national stage. On September 30, 2022, he led a second coup, removing Damiba from power. He wasn't some distant general in a capital office. He was a captain who had been in the trenches, and his fellow soldiers trusted him. He declared that his only ambition was to reclaim the territory that had been lost and to give his people a chance to live in peace. When Traore took power, he became the youngest head of state in the world. He didn't move into the lavish presidential palace. Instead, he chose to stay at the prime minister's residence, a symbolic gesture of his focus on work, not luxury. His public appearances are often in military fatigues, and he speaks directly, without the usual political jargon. He talks about self-reliance, sovereignty, and a new path for his nation. He's often seen in his signature red beret, a symbol that has become synonymous with his leadership. One of the most significant shifts under Traore has been in Burkina Faso's foreign policy. For decades, the country, like many in the region, had a strong military partnership with its former colonial power, France. Traore's government, however, made the bold decision to ask French troops to leave. He argued that, after years of foreign intervention, it was time for Burkina Faso to take control of its own security. This wasn't just a political statement, it was a fundamental change in strategy. Instead of relying on Western partners, Traore turned to new alliances. He has strengthened ties with neighboring Mali and Niger, countries facing similar challenges. Together they formed the Alliance of Sahel States, a mutual defense pact aimed at creating a regional solution to a regional problem. He has also deepened cooperation with countries like Russia, seeking new partners for military equipment and training. This pivot has been controversial on the world stage, but for Traore it's about one thing: finding effective solutions for his country, no matter where they come from. At home, his focus has been on mobilizing the entire nation. He launched a massive recruitment drive for the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, or VD. These are ordinary citizens who are given training and equipment to help defend their local communities alongside the army. Tens of thousands have signed up. The idea is to create a people's army, where everyone has a stake in the nation's security. It's a strategy that says, this is our fight, and we will win it together. Traore's vision extends beyond security. He talks about an economic war and the need for food self-sufficiency. He has launched agricultural initiatives, encouraging citizens to cultivate land and reduce the country's dependence on imported food. He speaks of reclaiming control over the country's natural resources, like its gold mines, to ensure that the wealth of the land benefits the people of Burkina Faso first. It's a message of economic sovereignty that resonates deeply with many young Africans. His leadership style is unconventional. He is known to be a man of few words but decisive action. Those who have worked with him describe him as disciplined, patriotic, and deeply committed to his mission. He's not a politician. He is a soldier who found himself in a position of leadership and is tackling the nation's problems with a soldier's mindset. Define the objective, make a plan, and execute it with discipline. Of course, his path is not without immense challenges. The security situation remains complex. Leading a country in transition is incredibly difficult, and his bold foreign policy decisions have drawn criticism from some international powers. But Traore's supporters see him as a symbol of a new generation of African leaders, unapologetic, sovereign-minded, and determined to forge a new destiny for their continent. What's clear is that Ibrahim Traore is more than just a military leader. He represents a powerful current of change sweeping across parts of Africa, a demand for respect, for sovereignty, and for the right to determine one's own future. He has promised to hold elections and return the country to civilian rule once security is restored. The world is watching to see what happens next in Burkina Faso. The story of Ibrahim Traore is still being written. but it is a chapter that will undoubtedly be remembered in the history of his nation and the continent. It's a story of courage, conviction, and a young leader's fight for the soul of his country. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores the people and events shaping our world. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.